What's up, everybody? It's a beautiful day outside. I just couldn't sit in the house any longer, so here I am doing our first outside lesson. I hope y'all don't throw up a brick on this lesson because sometimes people think this is sort of hard, so we're just gonna get after it and hope we can do our best. Alright, so we got division properties of exponents. Same thing as before. If you have the same base, okay, then this rule applies. If you don't have the same base, then it's just a regular old exponent or a regular old whole number. Okay, so if you have the same base, you're going to subtract the exponents. Alright, so here is where the rule starts. We got x cubed over x squared. If we were going to write this out long ways, x cubed would be x times x times x. Okay, x squared would just be x times x. So if we were to cancel those out, all we would have left is just the x on top. So x cubed over x squared, the shortcut is to just subtract the exponents. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So your answer is just x. Alright? Now, if we have x to the 6th over x to the 8th, you can tell that the bigger exponent is now on the bottom. Okay? So this is another one of my don't be dumb rules. Alright? So if you subtract 6 minus 8, okay, which is the rule, you're going to subtract the exponents, you should end up with negative 2. Okay, well, x to the negative 2, what do we do with a negative exponent? That has to move to the bottom. So our final answer would be 1 over x squared. So this is why I say one of my don't be dumb rules. Alright, if you have more x's on the bottom to start with, make sure when you get done you have more x's on the bottom. Okay, if you've got more x's on the top, then make sure when you get done, when you have your answer, you got more x's on the top. Alright, we're going to go over here with some whole numbers. It's the same rule, just the same as before. You've got to actually multiply the whole numbers, alright, when you get done. Alright, so we have 2 to the 5th over 2 squared. You're just going to simply do 5 minus 2, subtract the exponents. So 5 minus 2 is 3. Then we get 2 cubed is 8. Okay? So remember, cubed is 2 times 2 times 2. We get 8. Alright? We get big gigantic numbers over here. Maybe up here you thought, I'll just go ahead and multiply 2 to the 5th and get 32, and 2 squared and get 4, and then do 32 divided by 4 and get 8, and that works as long as the numbers are small. Okay? If the numbers get big, like we use 15s right here, probably none of us know what 15 to the 6th or 15 to the 8th is, but we can use our exponent rules to make our life simpler. So 15, we're going to go 6 minus 8. We're going to get a negative 2. Remember, when we get that negative 2, that means we've got to push it to the bottom. We can't leave a negative in our answer. So we have 1 over 15 squared. Hopefully you've been studying your squares still, and you know that 15 squared is 225. So we get 1 over 225. Okay, if you guys have been studying, if you've been watching these videos, this math work is going to be automatic, just like my jump shot. Down here in the bottom, we've got another rule. Okay, raising a quotient to a power. Alright, so if we're raising a quotient to a power, quotient just means division. So if we get a division problem, okay, x squared over y to the 4th, all of that raised to the 3rd. Okay, the exact same thing as what we've done in the past. The exponent on the outside has to go to both terms. So it's x squared cubed and y to the 4th cubed. And then this is just the same as our rule from yesterday, a power to a power. So x squared cubed 2 times 3 gets you x to the 6th. And y to the 4th raised to the 3rd, 4 times 3 gets you y to the 12th. So here's our answer here. Okay. And then the same thing here. We can do it either way, okay? Depends on whatever we think is easiest. You could, since we have the same base right here, 2 to the 5th and 2 cubed, we could go ahead and subtract and make that 2 squared. Okay, and then 2 squared would be 2 to the 4th. Okay, if we think 2 to the 4th is hard or we don't know how to get it, then we can always take 2 squared and we can make that 4, and then we can square it. So 4 squared is 16. We should all know that. Alright, so as long as you're following the rules, it doesn't really matter which order you follow them in. You just got to follow the rules. You can't start going all crazy doing just all kind of crazy stuff. Alright, I'm going to show you two other things you can do when we've got division or we've got a quotient in the problem, a fraction in the problem. So if we have 3 to the 5th to the negative 2 and we have a negative exponent, you have two choices. You can either just do exactly what we just talked about. That negative 2 has to go to both of these. So 3 to the negative 2, 5 to the negative 2. Negative exponents, if they're on the bottom, they go up. If they're on the top, they go down. So we end up with 5 squared over 3 squared, and we get 25 over 9. Okay, so that's one way. Okay, your other way is as soon as you see a negative exponent out here, if you want, sometimes it's easier to just flip it, and then you've got to use the so when you flip it, that's the reciprocal. So you're taking the reciprocal and then you go ahead and just change this to a positive. So we take the 3/5, we flip it over, make it 5/3. When we do that, this exponent becomes positive and we get 5 squared over 3 squared, and so you can see the answer is still 25 over 9. Alright? And let's take a look at this one real fast. Okay, sometimes with the whole numbers we get confused. We shouldn't. Okay, you have two ways of looking at this. Okay, either one, do the division rule that we learned today. So you've got your 3. You can say negative 1 minus 2, which is going to be negative 3. Well, what do we do with a negative exponent? We push it to the bottom, so that becomes 1 over 3 cubed. Okay, and then 3 cubed is 27. Okay, your other option. All right, we're going to work one of these or a couple of these more complicated problems here, just to make sure we know what's going on. So once again, if this 4 is on the outside, we want to take it and we want to do the power of a power rule with every single thing inside the parentheses. So a to the negative 3, we're going to multiply that times the 4, and we're going to get a to the negative 12. Then we're going to take the b to the negative 2 and do that times the 4 and get b to the negative 8. We're going to take this b to the negative 3, it's on the bottom, that's fine, so b to the negative 3 to the 4th is b to the negative 12th, and then c to the 5th to the 4th makes c to the 20th. Alright, so now as I'm working through this, okay, a to the negative 12th is going to need to go to the bottom because it's a negative exponent. B to the 8th is going to need to go to the bottom. B to the negative 12th is already on the bottom, but it's negative, so it's got to go up. And I'm going to put it right on top of that other B just so I don't forget to reduce it in a second. And then C to the 20th is positive, so it's just going to stay where it's at. Alright, so now the A and the C, I'm done with it. I don't have to do anything, but these I've got to work with. So I've got B to the 12th over B to the 8th. That's just simple division. Okay, and so I can do the division rules. 12 minus 8 is 4, which means I have B to the 4th on top. Remember, if there's more on top, there has to be more on top when I get my answer. Alright, so I've got A to the 12th and C to the 20th. So that would be my final answer. It is kind of warm out here. I'm sweating like crazy, but it's good. It's good to be outside. Alright, so same thing here. I can do this one of two ways. If I know what 2 cubed is and I want to go ahead and write it in there, then I can. If I want to go ahead and multiply the negative 2 times the 3 and get 2 to the negative 6, then I can. I know what 2 cubed is, and I think that's going to make it easier for me, so that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to make this 3 over 8 to the negative 2. Okay, so then I've got 3 to the negative 2, 8 to the negative 2. Both of them have negatives, so I'm going to flip them. 8 squared over 3 squared. 8 squared I should know is 64, and 3 squared I should know is 9. Okay, hopefully you're still studying those squares. You're staying on top of all that. Alright, down here, okay, the same old rules. I've got a 2 outside. I don't have any of the same variables, so this is going to make this problem a little bit simpler than some of the other ones. So the 5 has to get squared, so that's going to be 25. A to the 0, well 0 times 2 is just 0, right? So when I say a to the 0 is going to be a 1, okay? The whole thing equals 1, so I don't even have to write it down because a to the 0 is the same thing as 1. So 1 times 25 is just 25. So then I have b to the 4th squared. It's going to make b to the 8th. And then I have c to the negative 3 squared is going to be c to the negative 6. Okay, so that negative is all that has to come up. I'm going to end up with 25 b to the 8th, c to the 6th. Alright, and then last one here, I got a negative exponent here, so I'm going to go through and I'm multiplying every single one of these. So I've got x to the negative 3, that's going to be x to the 6th. Y is just by itself, so it's like there's a 1 there. So y to the 1st times negative 2 is just y to the negative 2. Then I have x, same thing, it's like there's a 1 there, so x to the negative 2. And then I have z to the negative 4th to the negative 2, so that is going to be z to the 8th. Alright? So, x to the 6th, and then x to the negative 2. So, 6 minus negative 2 would be 8. So I have x to the 8th. Y to the negative 2, the y squared has to go down. Z to the 8 is on the bottom, so it just stays. Alright, y'all, that's it for today. If you've been studying hard, keeping up with your work, if you can remember all your exponent rules, this is going to be a slam dunk.